Bond stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Ervin. Ervin and Curry, one-on-one. Ervin puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Taproom Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan. Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Let's join with my man, Swerving, Ervin, Washington. How you doing tonight?
I'm chilling. I was watching the movie before we hopped on.
Don't lie, dude. You were taking a nap. You could tell the whole world. You were napping.
I know, but when I woke up, the movie was playing. So technically, I was watching the movie before I got on.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Oh, man, glad to be here tonight. We got a big show on tap. I do have to mention we're being brought to you by Tavour. Make sure to go to Tavour.com. Use the promo code Taproom, which is right below us. Get $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. That's craft beer delivered straight to your front door. You don't even have to leave your seat. It's great. I'm drinking one right now, getting prepared. I just drank a whole ass coffee. Told Ervin we might have to take a break in the middle because I might have to take a piss, and that's okay. We got Loney in the chat right here. Loney's a Utah fan. I'm sure he's waiting for us to shit on the Utes.
Lonnie, I'll take it easy on the use. But before we start the show, I'm gonna say rest in peace to an icon, a legend, Mr. Dodger. Arguably one of the greatest Dodgers that didn't put on a uniform, Mr. Vin Scully. Rest in peace, sir.
Yep, Ervin missed the show last night because we did a whole tribute to Vin Scully. Had a video and everything that I put together. You're welcome. But yes, you're right, dude. Vin Scully, the voice of many generations of baseball fans. So definitely got to shout him out. Not only that, he also did football. You know, he did big games for college football and NFL. So big, the big broadcasting world.
Didn't he call a couple NCAA games too?
Yeah, he did like everything at some point.
He did everything, yeah.
Like he's done it all. I mean, he's been in the broadcasting game since the 40s. I mean, the guy saw Jackie Robinson's first game. He called it. You know, that's how long he's been around. And I mean, one can only be blessed to live that long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Vin Scully, man, rest in peace. You know, a lot of people, even Ben's a Giants fan, and you know, he was like, "Damn, dude, that's sucks, man."
Yeah.
But we're here to talk football, Ervin. We're here to talk NCAA. I do want to apologize ahead of time because when we get to USC, we're probably going to spend a little bit more time as, you know, Ervin and I are a little bit more tapped in with USC than any other college football program. And Loney, we're definitely going to talk about the Utah Utes. I do think that this conference comes down to those two teams. And with the new rules of the conference championship being the two best teams, I think those two teams are probably going to end up in the title game. They do have the top two win totals. We're going to break this down, though, by division. So we're going to start with the North before we get over to the South. And then we're going to go, if you're new to this, we're going to go bottom to top. So lowest win total to highest win total. So let's get right into it. So first one we got is the Washington State Cougars. Over under Ervin is 5.5, juiced to the under -145. So odds makers are definitely predicting that Washington State is probably more likely to go under this win total. I honestly think this is a little bit of a. I think this team could be better than we think. I think there's a lot of unknowns with this team. This is Jake Dickert's second year here. Last year, they were 6th in total offense, 6th in total defense in the conference, so they were middle of the pack. They finished 7-6. They do lose a lot, though, Ervin. What's your thoughts on Washington State here?
They lost their starting quarterback, so that's never a good sign. And the crazy part is they lost them to a team that's in conference, too, so
They lost their top 2 rushers. They lost their leading passer. They lost their top 2 receivers. But it's also kind of by design because he was Dicker was taking over for not Mike Leach. What's that dude's name? Rolovich. So
because
he getting his guys in here.
Yeah, he pretty much said the reason why he got fired was he said he spoke out. They basically gave him a deadline to get vaccinated, and he didn't do it. So that's the reason why he got fired. But they replace a lot on offense. They got how many starters are coming back on defense? I think it's
six defensive starters.
So 6 defensive starters. They're not really known for playing good defense, so they could be.
But they were 6th in the conference last year. They were much improved defensively.
Yeah, but our conference was the worst it's ever been last year, so I'm not going to judge too much off of last year.
Fair point.
It all depends on their schedule, honestly, because they're going to have a decent offense. They probably don't have enough to compete with the top dogs, but they should have enough to compete with teams like Cal and Arizona State and Washington and Arizona. So they could. There is over under 5.5 or 4.5.
5.5. So they open against Idaho. They get Idaho at home. Then they go to Wisconsin.
That's a loss.
Then they go at home to Colorado State. That could be a tough game, dude.
Yeah, I think that's a toss-up.
Then they get Oregon at home.
That's a loss.
Then they get Cal at home. That's a tough game, too.
Yeah, but that's a 50-50 game because Cal lost a lot, too. So
they did, but Justin Wilcox always coaches a good defense.
Yeah, always has a good defense.
So that's an interesting one. And then they go at USC. That's a loss. At Oregon State, also probably a loss. And then they have a bye, and then they get Utah at home. And then they get at Stanford, Arizona State at home, which is probably a win. At Arizona, which they could definitely win, and then Washington at home with the Apple Cup.
Which they could win because we don't know what offense. Washington really had one of the most terrible offenses in the country last year. I think they could go over, honestly. They could win 6 games.
Honestly, I feel like this is the thing with this conference, dude. And especially in the North, dude. I think there's just so much unknowns, Ervin. Like, this team could be hella good. They have a new offensive coordinator who was a head coach in FCS at what was the school he was? Incarnate Word. Wherever that is, dude.
I've never heard of that.
And he brings his quarterback in, Cameron Ward, who was a second team All-American in the FCS last year. So I mean, the guy is like he's no slouch, and he knows the system, right? But they lose a lot, dude, and then they bring in a lot of guys.
Okay, how many starters they got coming back on offensive line?
Offensive line, they have 2 starters coming back. Their center, Connor Gomez, who's a sophomore, and then Jarrett Kingston, who's a junior.
And are they replacing those other 3 spots with freshmen or upperclassmen?
So they lose their first team All Pac-12 tackle, who got drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. They also lose their left tackle, Liam Ryan. But this unit could actually be a little bit stronger because they do add a lot of talent. They have a lot of freshmen and sophomores on here. It's interesting, dude. This is one of the more interesting teams. That's what I'm saying. Like, this team is very unknown. Like, I could see this team, winning 6 games. I could see this team winning 2 games. We don't know. We don't know what this offense is going to look like. Like, they're going to use a tight end this year. They haven't used a tight end at Washington State in like 3 years, or like 10 years since Mike Leach has been there.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of unknown. The North is pretty much wide open. Only team for a fact. Well, it's 2 teams that for a fact is going to field a competitive squad week in and week out, and that's Oregon and Oregon State. So the other 4 teams or 3?
3. No,
3.
4.
The other 4 teams, they do have a lot of unknowns, so it could be all good or all bad. So I see them going over 5.5, I got them maybe winning 6, but I wouldn't bet it.
I think the toughest thing is, they lose basically their entire defensive backfield, so they have to replace that. But their linebackers should be much more improved this year.
Yeah, but see, we know the Pac-12 is a passing league, and if you don't got a good back end, you're gonna get torched. So hopefully that secondary brought in some talent or has some talent that played before. Because if not, it could be tough sledding when they face the more high-powered offenses in the conference.
And they're going to. And the tough thing is they got to go to USC, to Oregon State, to Stanford, and to Wisconsin.
Yeah, they got some tough roadies this year.
I would lean the under here. I wouldn't bet this because I just think there's way too many unknowns. So this is going to be an interesting team, in my opinion. This is going to be a team to watch out for. Like, I want to see what they do. I want to see what they look like.
Yeah, I could see them going over. I think they win 5 or 6 games, honestly.
I like it.
Or they could be terrible and win like 3 or 4.
That's what I'm saying. This team, like, we don't know what it's going to look like, dude. I could see a lot of different scenarios. And I think a lot of it has to do with, like, they have an FCS quarterback. They have the offensive coordinator was an FCS head coach. But sometimes, like, those guys are, like, underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially when you see Pac-12 schools we lost to a lot of FCS teams last year, so.
Exactly. So this will be an interesting one. All right, let's move over to the Cal Golden Bears over under 5.5. Juice to the over though, -120. Under it, +100, even money. We were just talking about Justin Wilcox. Justin Wilcox actually turned down the Oregon job, got an extension at Cal. Bill Musgrave is the offensive coordinator. This is going to be his 3rd year. They do have a new quarterback, a transfer, Jake Plummer, who's coming in from Purdue. Basically lost his starting job at Purdue. He's coming in at Cal. But, Ervin, this is a defense that's returning 5 starters. They're only returning 3 offensive starters. And it could be a very improved defense. What's your thoughts on Cal here?
I know they're going to have a solid defense. I can't remember the last time they finished outside of the top 5 in total defense. With them, it's going to be, can they at least put up 20 or more points a game? Because usually when they lose, it's because they can't score enough points. The defense usually makes enough plays. It's just the offense can't stay on the field, and they haven't had a good offense. And I can't remember the last time they had a good offense. So that's basically what it's going to come down to for this over-under for Cal.
Yeah, they started open. They get UC Davis at home. Then
should be a win.
Then they get UNLV at home, who's going to be better.
Yeah.
Remember last year they lost to Nevada at home.
Yeah, so that's not going to be an easy win for them.
Then they go to Notre Dame.
Blowout.
And then they get Arizona at home, which is their homecoming. They should win that game. Then they go to Washington State. Then they're at Colorado. Then they get Washington and Oregon back-to-back at home. And then they go to USC, to Oregon State, and then they close Stanford and UCLA at home.
I'll go 5.5.
Yeah, I like the over. I think they're going to go bowling for sure.
Yeah, I think they go over because they lucky because they get Arizona, they get Colorado, and they get we don't know what Washington is going to be. They should win both of their non-conference games. So,
yeah,
I think they go over.
They lose a lot of offensive linemen, but I mean, their offensive line wasn't really that good last year, anyways. They added a few guys in the transfer. They added Arizona State transfer Spencer Lovell and TJ Session, who started 9 games last year at Montana State. They lost a lot of receivers, but they have a lot of young guys here. Marvin Anderson, who's a freshman, Jeremiah Hunter, who's a sophomore, very skilled guys. So they should be at least skilled at the wide receiver position, just very inexperienced. But I think their defense is going to be a lot better than it was last year. And last year they were 3rd overall in the Pac-12 in defense.
Yeah, their defense is always going to be top 4, 5. It's never going to be worse than that. And Wilcox is a defensive coach. So He just got to figure out the offensive coordinator. He hasn't hired a good one to save his life.
I don't think Musgrave is terrible.
Yeah, he's not terrible. He has NFL experience, and last time he was in NFL, he didn't look bad with the Broncos. He just didn't have a really good quarterback, so that didn't make his offense go. But when he was with the Raiders, they had a decent offense, so I like it.
I like
I
it.
think I think they definitely go. I like the over for them.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. I like the over 5.5 here. I definitely think they're gonna go bowling. All right, let's talk about this next team, the Stanford Cardinal. Their over under win total is 4.5, so it's actually a game under. I skipped them, sorry. But the over and the odds makers are expecting this to go under. So the over under is 4.5, juice to the under -160. The over +135. So you're getting some really great value in that over. What do you think about Stanford here?
Well, they have an NFL quarterback. They always have a solid offensive line, but they lost a lot of transfers. And they're gonna probably be playing. They're probably gonna be fielding one of the youngest teams in the conference this year. I know they're gonna be playing a lot of freshmen, so that's either gonna be all good or all bad. But they do have a pretty good quarterback, so that gives them a shot in pretty much every game they're gonna play. Of course, they don't see them beating USC or Notre Dame. Those are like guaranteed losses, and Utah. But they always play Utah tough, so I wouldn't just say they're gonna go into Utah and get railroaded. But
They
me
always play
personally,
SC tough.
yeah, they play SC tough too. They whooped our ass last year, but we got blown out 3 times at home last year. I don't think that's ever gonna happen again in my lifetime. Um, I don't know. I could see them going over 4.5 because ASU, they might be one of the worst teams in the conference. They could beat Cal. I see them beating Washington State. They start off with Colgate, I think, for their first game.
I think the only thing that's like really tough for them with their schedule is they have to go to Washington, to Oregon, to Notre Dame, to
Yeah,
UCLA, to Utah, and to Cal.
yeah,
They
they
got a
roll.
brutal schedule, dude.
Ooh, this remind me of one of the USC schedules. Yeah. Champagne Larry, well, he did us no favors. Um, if I had to bet, I'll take the over just because I think they're going to be a little bit better than they was last year. They won 4 games last year, and I think they could be a better team this year. So I'll take the over. If not, what's the name? Seat might start heating up a little bit. I don't ever see them firing their coach,
Nah, they
but
never gonna fire
it,
David Shaw.
yeah, it might be some seat might get a little warm. I don't think they lose more than I don't think see them going 4-8 again. So I think they go over.
So they returned 17 starters, 10 on offense, 7 on defense. They do return almost their entire offensive line, but their entire offensive line last year was like freshmen and sophomores, very inexperienced offensive line. They're going to be more experienced this year. However, they do lose their top 2 rushers from last year. They do bring in Arlen Harris, who's like a highly touted recruit at running back, but behind him, they don't have much, dude. They got EJ Smith, who's Emmett Smith's son, but he has a history of getting hurt. Like he hasn't ever stayed healthy. And then you're right, dude. They do have Tanner McKee, and they also have Benjamin Urasek, who's the tight end. He's a sophomore this year. He should be much better. I think they're gonna be much more improved. Their defensive line is gonna be really good. They return a lot on their defensive line. And it can't get any worse than they were last year. I mean, last year they were one of the worst. They were the worst defense in the Pac-12. 12th overall, 463 yards given up, 33 points per game. The only highlight of their season was beating USC. I mean, after that, it was just fucking total downhill, dude.
It was downhill from there.
So I mean, this is a team where it's hard for me to bet this under because I respect David Shaw. I respect what Stanford's always been able to do. They always seem to be good, but they have a really tough schedule, dude. Like they'll beat Colgate, and then after that, it's like,
They can lose 4 or 5 in a row.
yeah, they might only beat Colgate, Arizona State,
And
Washington State. I don't think they'll beat Washington.
I don't know. Washington, they got bro. They looked terrible last year.
Yeah, but I mean, they're bringing in a good coach. We're gonna get to them in a second.
Yeah, that's true.
We're gonna get to them in a second. I'm gonna lean the over here. I don't love it because I don't like their schedule. They have a very difficult schedule.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't put money on it. I just think there's no way they're going to be 4-8 in back-to-back years.
I've seen crazier things happen. Irv. But I'm with you. I agree. I don't think they're gonna go 4-8. All right, let's move into this next team, the Oregon State Beavers. Over under 6.5, juice to the under -135. Over is +115. Oregon State had a good year last year, 7-6 last year. They were 5th in total offense, 423 yards, 31.7 points per game, 9th in defense. That's where they really struggled. They do return 17 starters. They are the most experienced team in the Pac-12 coming back. 6 offensive starters, 9 defensive starters. I just mentioned they were 9th in defense. So what do you think about the Oregon State Beavers here?
Over under 6.5.
The over-under is 6.5. Juice to the under.
Okay, so they start off with Boise State and Fresno State. That won't be 2 pushovers at all.
They return their entire defensive line.
They got an NFL draft pick at corner. Shout out to Last Chance U.
They actually return all of their defensive backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Austin, Rajon Wright, Keaton Oladipo, and Alton Julian. And yes, Rajon Wright is a preseason all Pac-12 pick. And they could actually have 2 NFL caliber cornerbacks drafted here.
Yeah. So
Alex Austin's no slouch either. So I think they'll be better in the defensive backfield. They do lose their leading rusher, B.J. Baylor, but they do get Jamius Griffin from Georgia Tech, and they get Damian Martinez in. And he's been the talk of the spring, according to other coaches in the Pac-12.
His schedule is their schedule is pretty tough though.
They do have a tough schedule. They open with Boise State at home, at Fresno State, who's no slouch.
Yeah.
Montana State, who's one of the best FCS schools in the FCS.
Yes.
They get USC at home, and then they go to Utah, to Stanford, come back home against Washington State. Then they get Colorado at home. Then they have a bye week. Then they go at Washington. Then they get Cal at home. Then they go to Arizona State, and then get Oregon at home.
And it's over 6.5.
Over 6.5.
I'm sorry. Shout out Joe Rudolph, but I think this is an under.
I mean, I think this is a tough one, dude.
Yeah, their schedule is pretty tough. I didn't know they had all these. They play USC, Utah, Oregon, and they got some tough road games too.
Yep. At Washington for Washington, and that's a Friday night game.
Yeah, at Utah. ASU is gonna be terrible, so I think they beat them.
They could definitely win that game.
They could beat Stanford, but I don't see 7 wins. If they beat Boise State and Fresno State, if they start off 3-0, I'll feel a lot more comfortable with the over. But yeah, I don't see it because one of those teams is going to beat them. It's either going to be Boise State or it's going to be Fresno State. The Mountain West is coming up. I like their projection, and a lot of these Pac-12 schools are pretty much Mountain West schools sometimes. If I had to bet, I'll take the under.
Loney's saying Oregon State 8-4. He's calling for Oregon State 8-4.
No, Lonnie, they're not going 8-4. I'll say I got them right at 6 wins, so I'll say under.
I just don't trust Chance Nolan, their quarterback. I don't know how good he's going to be. I mean, he was good last year. He was decent. He wasn't great. They were really able to run the ball. They lose B.J. Baylor, right? And then they lose, basically their entire receiving unit. They lose, everybody. So they're really – but, I mean, not like their receiving core was, great last year. They only had,
Yeah, everything was based off the run.
Yeah, they only had one guy go over 500 yards. So, I don't know. I lean the under with Oregon State. But, again, I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't know if it is. I could easily, like Lonnie said, I could easily see him winning 8 games, but proof is in the pudding. We're going to have to see.
Yep. This is one of those teams that I gotta see it until I believe it. They were good last year though. They were good. They were better than anyone anticipated last year. I think their over under win total last year was like 3.5. They ended up winning 7 games, so they almost doubled it.
They beat the hell out of USC at the Coliseum,
That was
and I was at that game too.
atrocious.
Horrible.
Yes, Lonnie, you are correct. They only lose one O-line guy, but he happens to be a first-team All Pac-12 center, and they also lost their right guard, News Kibenam, but everyone else is back. So they have of the 220 possible offensive line starts in Jonathan Smith's entire tenure, they have return basically all of them but 12 starts. But losing a first-team Pac-12 guy is going to be tough to replace. This will be one of the better offensive lines for sure in the country. But
yeah, but it's always tough losing your center or your left or your tackles.
yeah,
Your inside guys, you can usually work with that. You usually got to find somebody that's pretty decent at run block. Well, good at run blocking, can hold up in pass pro. But when you lose your center or your left tackle, or you sometimes hell even your right tackle, that's not good. Especially if you don't have somebody coming in behind them with experience.
and also they were 9th in defense, and I don't think they did a ton to improve that. I mean, they already had a great defensive backfield. They returned all of those guys. Yes, they're going to be more experienced.
Just a pass rush.
Yeah, they're going to have to rush the passer. They didn't have a lot of sacks last year. I think what was their total sack amount last year? They only had 20 sacks last year. That's not good. That's not going to cut it, dude. You got to get more pressure on the quarterback, especially in this conference, dude. And the teams they're going to play.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean the under. I don't love it, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna just lean it. Wouldn't bet it. I'll stay away from it, but if I had to guess, I will go under.
Agreed. All right, let's move on to this next team, the Washington Huskies. Over-under win total is 7.5, and it's -110 both ways. Basically a pick 'em. Another tough team to gauge here. They returned 13 starters. They're the third most experienced. They returned 8 offensive starters, 5 defensive starters. This is DeBoer's first year here. Kalen DeBoer is coming from Fresno State, who was a great team last year. He brings in Michael Penix Jr., who was his quarterback at Indiana when he was the offensive coordinator in 2019. Last year, Washington they were atrocious on offense. They were fucking absolute garbage. They were 11th on offense, 294 yards, 21 points per game. Only 21 points per game, Ervin. But they were good on defense, and they do return they return 5 defensive starters, plus they bring in a lot of transfers. What do you think about Washington?
I don't know. This is another team. I'm gonna have to wait and see how they do. Now they should start off 2-0. Even though they lost to FCS schools last year, they should beat Kent State, and I think that's Portland State. So they should probably beat those two. Michigan State is going to be a tough test because both teams, they have a pretty good defense. Washington always has a decent defense. So whoever scores more points is going to win that game. Then they go Stanford at home. Their first 3 games are at home. Then they got, first 4 games are at home. Kent State, Portland State, Michigan State, Stanford. Then it's back-to-back on the road against UCLA and ASU, Arizona, Cal on the road, at home against Oregon State, at Oregon, at home against Colorado, and they end the season at Washington State. It's over 7.5.
Yep.
I think I'll take the over.
Yeah, I kind of like the over too. The only thing that worries me about this team is that Jimmy Lake's style of football is totally different than Kalen DeBoer. You know what I mean? So it's he has a lot of the carryover from what Lake liked to do. Last year, Washington was supposed to be one of the better offensive lines in the Pac-12. They've underperformed heavily, and they don't lose much, but they only have 82 career starts on that offensive line. But they do get back first-team All-Pac-12 Jackson Kirkland at left tackle.
He's an NFL draft. He might be a first-round pick.
Yep. And their quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., obviously, I think that this is going to be a much more improved offense. I really like DeBoer. I like what he did at Fresno State.
Yeah, the offense is definitely gonna be better. And Penix is a lefty, so he's a dual threat as well.
Yep.
So they might run a little RPO. They returning some good receivers too. I think on receiver they really lost was Bynum was their deep threat. He transferred to USC.
Yeah, they returned 2 of their top 3 wide receivers.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think the offense definitely gonna be better. If the defense could stay at the well, what was the defense was ranked what 5 or 6 last year?
3rd.
Third. Ooh. So the defense can stay at that level. Yeah, I like the over because they schedule lines up pretty good for them because they don't have to play USC. They don't have to play Utah.
Yep, and
Yeah.
their only road trips are UCLA, Arizona State, Cal, and at Oregon. Other than that, they get everybody else at home.
Yeah, I think they could. Yeah, I like the over because I see them losing to Oregon.
They could even beat Michigan State at home, dude.
Yeah, they can beat Michigan State because Michigan State isn't a juggernaut. So, and they lost. They lost a lot as well.
Yep.
Stanford. Yeah, I like the over. Honestly, I would bet this over to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of like it too. I kind of like the over. I definitely think they're going bowling for sure,
Yeah,
dude.
they definitely going bowling. I could see 7.5. I could see 8 or 9 wins if they play up to their potential. DeBoer is definitely is a great head coach, so
Yep.
this could be a nice stepping stone for them. Even though they won't be in the Big Ten, so lead the Pac 10, 12, whatever y'all gonna call it in a couple years. So I like it. I'll take the over.
Lonnie said, I like Penix a lot, but no clue how UW plays. Just look at Indiana in 2019 on offense and also look at Fresno State last year because this offense has a lot of familiarity, especially when your quarterback is very familiar with the offense. It makes the transition a lot easier.
Way easier, and they just had a spring to bring the young guys up to speed.
Yep.
Now, one thing you do got to watch for though, they do have a 5-star backup who was supposed to be all world, and he's Brock Hewer's nephew or son, whoever he is. I can't think his name. Sam, I think.
Sam Hewer, yep.
Does Penix only has 1 year left, right?
Yeah, Penix he's a junior because of the COVID year.
Oh, so yeah, let's see. Hopefully Hewer doesn't transfer, but
Nah,
I
he's
think
not going to transfer, but I don't think that they're going to rush him in. You know what I mean?
well they rushed him in last year and it didn't look good, so that's true.
Yeah, I think they're going to let him kind of work himself in, and yeah, he did not look good last year. 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, dude. 52% completion percentage. But I mean, that team was trash, dude. That team was fucking
Yeah, I
awful.
think it wasn't 3 of his interceptions in the same game. I think.
I think so. I mean, he only threw 42 passes.
No, he'll be all right. Team was just terrible.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, let's move into the last North team here. This is the Oregon Ducks over under 8.5. The 8.5 is juiced to the under -125, over 8.5 +105. Obviously, a lot of turnover here, Ervin, with the Oregon Ducks. They lose Mario Cristobal. They bring in Dan Lanning, who is the former defensive coordinator of Georgia. Last year, they were 4th in total offense, 435 yards per game, 31.6 points per game. 4th in defense, 356 yards per, 26 points per game, and they were 10-4. They lose their starting quarterback, Anthony Brown, who shouldn't have been their starting quarterback anyways. Bring in Bo Nix. What do you think about the Oregon Ducks? Are they quacking?
We're gonna see what Dan Lanning is made of.
That is one big pile of shit.
The Oregon fan base say they hired a national champion and they think he's gonna do good and do this, and they have 3 straight Pac-12 championships. Okay, I get it, but you hired a guy that got passed over by Kansas for a head coaching position. So let's see how that works. They have a new defensive coordinator, they got a new offensive coordinator, and they have a question mark at QB because we all know Bo Nix is nothing special.
And not only that, they originally wanted to hire Justin Wilcox, and he turned it down to stay at Cal.
Yeah, so I think they could have waited it out and got a way better head coach. I think they rushed this hire, especially because they was even offering Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly turned them down too. So
not good. They
we'll
lose
see.
a lot, and they lose a lot of production, man. They lose Travis Dye, who led the team in rushing with 1,271 yards. They lose C.J. Verdell. They do return Byron Caldwell. And they do have a lot of highly touted prospects in this, a lot of 4 or 5-star recruits in this unit. Same with their receivers. They lose 6 of their top 8 receivers, but again, they still have 11 4 or 5-star recruits in the unit. The offensive line only loses 1 guy. They return a ton of guys, but last year, no offensive lineman had more than 9 starts. So this should be a deep unit. Honestly, their offense could be okay. Their defense could also be okay. The only issue is you lose an All-American in Kayvon Thibodeau. You do return a first-team Pac-12 defensive end in Brandon Dorless. You return your top 2 linebackers, Noah Sewell, who's first-team All-Pac-12, and Justin Flo, who should definitely be much better this year.
You just got to stay healthy.
Got to stay healthy, and they lose their first-team Pac-12 safety, Verone McKinley, and they lose their other safety, Jordan Happel, and they lose Michael Wright and DJ James. They only return 1 defensive backfield starter. So their defensive backfield has to be much more improved. I do think their defense can be improved because Lanning is a good defensive coach. I don't know though, dude. They get Georgia.
Yeah, we'll see. All I'm gonna say is, they don't have a difficult schedule outside of they're gonna get their ass creamed by Georgia. That's probably a 3-4 touchdown game. Eastern Washington, that should be a win. BYU, physical team. That'll be their first test of the season.
Yep.
They're not gonna challenge Georgia like that.
And they go to Washington State.
To Washington State, that should be a win. At a home against Stanford, that should be a win. Arizona on the road win. I think they at home against UCLA. Them and UCLA is always back and forth.
Yeah, but Chip Kelly got it out for them too.
Yeah, I think Chip Kelly could pull that out in Eugene. I see him beating Cal. I'm gonna say they lose to Washington. That'll be one of my upset picks. Definitely gonna lose to Utah. They should beat Oregon State. Over under 8.5.
That's a tough back-to-back, dude. They get Washington and Utah, but at least they get them both at home. Their only road games: Colorado, Cal, Arizona, Washington State, Oregon State.
I got them right at 8 wins. I'm not gonna go over.
Yeah, I think this is interesting too because Dan Lanning's never been a head coach.
Yeah,
and that's always a unknown, dude, because you never know how he could be a great coordinator, dude, but he could not be a good head coach. Like, we see this all the time.
And seeing how he was a third choice, and they wanted to hire one offensive guy, one defensive guy ahead of him. I don't know. It could work out for him. I don't see him being anything special under this dude.
If they start Bo Nix, dude, it's a wrap, bro.
Yeah, Bo Nix is their starter. He's gotten worse every year after his freshman year, and that's not a good sign. So, honestly, I would just roll with Simpson. I think that's the backup guy. The backup's name.
Ty Thompson, bro.
No, Ty Thompson. Yeah, there you go.
He should be the starter. He should have been the starter last year.
Exactly. So, but we'll see. I don't see him being anything special. Probably 8-9 wins max. I'm more comfortable with the under because until we see what they actually are under Dan Lanning, and I forgot the name of their OC. Because he was Nick's OC at Auburn, and that didn't look too good either. So
Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, Kenny Dillingham. I got him right at 8 wins. I'll just go under. If I had to bet it, I'll take the under. No bias. I just don't like what they if you don't got a good quarterback, I automatically don't like your chances. And this dude is prone to turnovers. He's like a 55-60% completion guy. Yeah, I'll see. We'll wait. We'll see how it turns out, but I don't see anything special out of Oregon.
Bo Nix is he's not it, dude.
Yeah, not it at all.
He definitely ain't it. And Oregon fans got a lot of tears coming down lately, dude. I don't like it.
They thought Uncle Phil was going to save them and they was going to the Big Ten with us, but we see how it's working out.
I'm going to take the under just to piss them off. Just to piss off the Oregon fans. We're going to take the under. All right, let's move into the South now. We're going to talk about the first team. I'm gonna go out of order a little bit. We're gonna talk about the Colorado Buffaloes first. Over under is 3.5. The over is plus 115. Juice to the under minus 135 here. Colorado has a very interesting team. Very interesting schedule. Last year they were 4-8 on the season. Sorry, I lost my note. They're 4-8. They were 12th in offense, 11th in defense. Irving. They were like one of the worst teams in the Pac-12. They do return 11 or 12 starters, 6 most experienced in the conference, 7 offensive starters, 5 defense. What's your thoughts on the Colorado Buffaloes?
If they can muster up some points, I could see them going over. But the only teams I actually see them beating is ASU or not Oregon State. I'll say Arizona. They got a chance against Cal.
They're gonna lose the Air Force.
I think they start on 3. Honestly, only team I think they might beat is Minnesota in the Who's Worse Bowl. I don't know. I see 4 wins on their schedule. Over under 3.5, right?
Bro, the only like for sure win they may get is the toilet bowl between them and Arizona.
Arizona, yeah, I know, because they play Cal. They play
maybe
ASU.
Arizona State too.
Could be Arizona State. 3.5. I see maybe 4 wins.
Nah, there's no way, dude. I'm taking the under here. I
Yeah,
see
I might
3
have to take
wins
the under.
max, dude.
Yeah, because I don't see them beating Cal. They might can win that game.
They don't add a ton of offense. I mean, they don't add a ton of anything. They return Brendan Lewis, who he was decent last year, 1,540 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He wasn't setting the world on fire. They lose their
RB lost their 2 best players to USC. So
and they lose their leading rusher, Jarek Broussard. He's going to Michigan State. I mean, dude, this is just a team that doesn't have a ton of talent, dude.
I think Calderell might get fired, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what he's doing there to begin with. I don't know what.
Yeah, that hire really perplexed me, but yeah, I see 3 wins, maybe 4, but I don't see him beating Cal, honestly, so I'll go under.
Yeah, I mean, they lose their 2 best defensive players. They lose 4 of their 5 starting defensive backfield. I mean, dude, this is just.
Yeah, they lost the Gonzalez to Oregon. They lost Mekhi Blackman to USC. They lost Jerry Rice, son, the receiver to USC. Yeah, it's look like it's gonna be all bad in Boulder.
That's what I'm saying. I apologize. I did this out of order because I did it based on my over-under ranking. So I started with Colorado because I think they're going under. And then Arizona is 2.5 wins, over juice to -125, under 2.5. Ervin, you and I were talking before we went on about Arizona a little bit. This is a team that I like the over. I mean, I think this is an improved team.
Yeah, I think they go over. Last year they only won 1 game.
1-11 last year. But the crazy thing is like even though they were 1-11, like they were 9th in offense and 8th in defense, which is better than Colorado.
Yeah, and
they lost a lot of close games too.
Yeah, and they added a lot of transfers, and they got Washington State's quarterback,
Jaden DeLora.
They might start off 0-3, but I do see them having a better run of the mill after that. They might beat Cal. I think they beat Colorado. I think they beat Arizona State.
They beat Mississippi State.
I don't think they're gonna beat Mississippi State.
They're gonna beat Mississippi State.
You think so?
Yep, at home. Jed Fish's his
8:00 start.
Yep.
We'll see. But I like the over.
Dude. And then Mississippi State's gonna fire Mike Leach right after that game.
I think they go over 2.5 wins.
Yeah, I like them over too. I mean, even San Diego State, like they gotta go to San Diego State, but we talked about San Diego State a few weeks ago. Yeah, they lost a lot of talent, dude. They lost a lot of talent. They Arizona brings in a lot of starters, 15 returning starters, 4th most experienced, 7 on offense, 8 on defense. I think they're going to be more improved, dude. And they get a lot of transfers in, too. They get Hunter Eichels from USC on the defensive line. I think this is going to be a much better team than last year, dude.
Yeah, they don't go bowling, but they definitely go over 2.5 wins.
Yes. I think they win like 4 games, dude.
Yeah, 4 games. I got them going 4-8.
Mississippi State is going to be one of those games, dude. I'm telling you right now. Mississippi State take Arizona money line at home, 8:00 start. It's what Mississippi State does, dude. It's what Mike Leach does. They lose games like that, bro. They lose games like that.
All right, Arizona. I got you going over. Don't disappoint me.
I actually love it, dude. I actually love it. Surprisingly, I don't know why, but I do love it. All right, let's talk about this next team. Both of us are very low on this team. This team went 8-5 last year. A lot of off-season drama. They only returned 7 starters. We're talking about the Arizona State Sun Devils, which for some reason they're over under 6.5 games. Ervin, I just don't understand this. Like this should be like 4.5.
3.5. But I love this under. I would bet the under. Bet the house on this under. You won't be disappointed. This team lost their head. No, they didn't lose their head coach, but they lost both coordinators.
They should have lost their head coach.
Yeah, they should have lost their head coach, but they lose both coordinators. They lost their quarterback. They lost their best defensive player.
And you can say what you want about Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks that Arizona State has had.
Yeah, since Jake Plummer.
Since Andrew. Hey, come on, man. Andrew Waller, dude. Do not disrespect my guy, Andrew Waller, bro. Andrew Waller is a beast, bro. He leads. He has the school record for yards.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it would have been Brock Osweiler, sorry ass, but
he's not even. Or he might be top 5, but he definitely in top 3. Andrew Waller, baby.
All right. Well, I definitely I love
Emory Jones though. I know you love Emory Jones.
No, Emory Jones is a trash bin. Ben hyped that dude up like no other. He's like a running back play a quarterback. So if they run a wildcat offense, they might win like 3 games with him.
Oh shit!
I'm dead. ASU is going to be terrible. They might win 3-4 games max. I even got Arizona pulling the upset at the end of the year.
Yeah, they lost a ton of talent, bro.
Yeah,
absolute ton of talent. I don't see how. I don't understand why this is 6.5. We were talking before we went on. I was like, this. The only reason why this is probably over 6.5 is probably because it's like respecting Herm Edwards. But I don't see it, dude. Like,
shout out to everybody that thought that was going to be a good hire. I knew that was going to be a terrible hire from day one.
Yeah, I mean, this is just nasty, bro. They might lose to Northern Arizona. I mean, anything's possible. At Oklahoma State, they're gonna get waxed.
Yeah, they're gonna get killed by Oklahoma State.
Eastern Michigan might beat them.
Might give them a run for their money.
Utah's gonna beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, they're gonna use the Utah. They're gonna get destroyed by USC.
Washington
should win. They
could Stanford.
They might beat Stanford.
No chance.
No, I don't think they beat Stanford, and they on the road. They should beat Colorado. Colorado is worse than them. They lose to UCLA. They might beat Washington State.
Oregon State. They'll probably.
Oregon State.
Oregon State should probably win that game.
Yeah, and I got them losing to Arizona. Yeah, I see like 3 wins.
Yeah,
so
it's like under. 3 or 4 win team, dude.
Yeah, bet the under. Bet the house.
Loney said ASU has absolutely no depth anywhere on the field. No, not only do they not have depth, they don't have any starters either. Like this is not a good football team. This is not going to be a good football team. If they win 5 games, I will be absolutely shocked. I'll do this. I'll say this. All right, if you're an Arizona State fan, because I do know some people that went to Arizona State. I'll do this. If Arizona State wins 5 games, if they win 5 games, I will wear an Arizona State jersey on the show, and whatever you want me to do, I'll drink a whole glass of whiskey in fucking 2 minutes if you want me to.
If they win 5 games, period, I'll drink an IPA.
There we go, dude. I'll wear an Arizona State Sun Devils jersey, and Ervin will drink an IPA
live.
If they win 5 games, dude. You gotta win. They gotta win 5 games. If they do that, we're doing it. All right, let's move on to the next team. We got the UCLA Bruins, 8.5 wins, -110 both ways. So this is a pick 'em at 8.5. What do you think about UCLA here?
Your at 8.5, they don't have a really. Well, they play Oregon, Utah, and USC. I think they lose all 3 of those games, but honestly, they could win the rest of their games.
The good thing is they get Oregon at home. They get,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, they go to Oregon. They get Utah, Washington, and USC all at home, which is huge. And then they get Bowling Green, Alabama State, South Alabama. They have a soft schedule. They have a very soft schedule.
I like the over.
Yeah.
Only teams I see them might lose to is Utah, Oregon,
And
USC, maybe Washington, but I think they beat Washington, so I like the over.
Yeah, I like the over here too, and it has nothing to do with what I think of this team. It has more to do with how shitty their fucking schedule is, dude.
Yeah,
this is a team that is absolutely scared of playing real competition. I want that noted. I want that on record. Chip Kelly is sorry, dude.
Yeah, but
this is embarrassing, dude. Bowling Green, Alabama State, South Alabama. What kind of schedule is that? What is this?
That's his track record. Chip been doing that since Oregon. He don't play good teams non-conference at all.
Scary.
That's just not what he do. The last couple of years, he came back to bite him in the ass because he was actually losing to all those teams. But he should definitely start off.
Last year they had a lot of injuries, so
so damn, UCLA might start off 5-0 heading into that Utah game. Well, they should be 5-0.
They very well could be. And a lot of people, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about like throwing some money on DTR to win Heisman. And at first I was like, dude, that's kind of crazy. But then I was like looking at their schedule. I was like, well, I mean, he might throw for 300 and rush for another 200 against Bowling Green and Alabama State and South Alabama. So, I mean, the guy could be over 1,000, 1,200 yards by the 4th week of the season, dude. Like just inflated stats.
That's cool, but when he starts his real season, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near any of those stats.
They will be in trouble there. Zach Charbonnet returns to Ervin. He was really good last year. Rushed for 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns. They do lose their 3 top receivers, but they do add Jake Bobo from Duke and Cam Brown from Texas A&M. And then they lose 3 starters from last year's offensive line, but they do return Sam Mazzara, who was out for the year last year, and Raekwon O'Neal from Rutgers they get in. So they have 84 career starts on the offensive line. Their defense, though, they lose their defensive line, but they do add a handful of transfers there. Gary Smith from Duke, Jacob Sykes from Harvard, who was first-team All-Ivy League. So, I mean, this is an interesting team, in my opinion. I think the defense is going to be worse than it was last year, but I think their offense is going to be better.
Yeah, the offense is going to carry them. I like UCLA, just not against the upper echelon team in the conference.
I'm taking the over just because their schedule sucks.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the over.
That's the only reason why I don't like. Other than that, I don't have anything for y'all, and that's no bias either. All right, let's talk about. So I'm gonna let's go to Utah. Utah over under 9 wins. Loney, if you're here, are you here?
The good old Utah fans.
Utah Utes over under 9 wins here. It's juiced to the under, actually, -115. The over is -105.
Okay. Looking at their schedule, they should honestly win every game except USC and Florida.
Well, I mean, the good thing about USC is they get them at home.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think they're going to beat Florida, dude.
I think they could beat Florida, too.
I think
if they can contain that Florida's QB, which he's a little bit better passer than that trash bin Emory Jones was. Only thing, no, they go across country and it's on the road. Good thing it's not like a 12 p.m. kickoff, so they'll probably get a little bit of time to adjust to that travel. I think I usually don't root for Pac-12 teams.
Lonnie said way over.
Yeah, I usually don't root for Pac-12 teams because it's fuck them, but I'll root for them against Florida because, I can't stand anything in the state of Florida. That's just how I am.
Yeah. The only thing that worries me about Utah, dude, to be honest, is like you mentioned it earlier, the Pac-12 was down last year.
Yeah, and they looked it really good.
And Utah, dude, they had a 3-touchdown lead at halftime against Ohio State, and Ohio State was missing like 12 starters, dude.
Yeah, and got torched in that second.
And they got torched, dude. Like, it was nasty.
I'm telling you now, if they have to depend on Cam Rising to win them close games, especially against better teams, I don't see that turning out too well for him because he's proven that he's pretty much a game manager. He's not going to win you games. He's not going to lose you games. You just got to hope that he makes enough
Well,
plays for you to win a game.
oh, let's pump the brakes there. I'm gonna defend Utah here. Cam Rising last year, before he was a starter, they were only averaging 24 points per game. With Cam Rising, they're averaging 38 points per game. He's a much better quarterback than anything they've ever had, except for Alex Smith at Utah.
I think what's his name was a little better. The black guy they had. He's on the Ravens now. I can't think of his name.
Nah, Cam Rising's a better passer.
Yeah, he's a better passer, but I'm not. I'll be sold on him if they can beat USC.
So this is what I like about Utah. They return Cam Rising, second team All Pac-12. He is very hyped up. He has expectations now that is a little bit difficult to manage. We'll see with Florida. I think a lot of their season depends on Florida. If they get absolutely waxed by Florida, I think this could be bad news for Utah throughout the year. If they hang with Florida, if they beat Florida, I think they go over this win total. I wouldn't play it. I'd probably play a win total live in the season because of that exact factor. But I do like that they returned Taylor Thomas, who's their leading rusher. He set the school rushing TD record last year with 21 touchdowns, and Micah Bernard, who averaged 6 yards per carry last year. They returned 5 of their top 6 receivers, including their tight end Brant Kuthi, who led the unit a year ago. I like this team. They lose first team Pac-12 center Nick Ford and second team left tackle. Dude, I'm gonna butcher his name, bro. I'm gonna butcher his name. I'm Olaseni. But they do return 4 offensive linemen with 73 career starts. So if there's a weakness of this team, it's probably going to be their offensive line. But Kyle Whittingham always has a good offensive and defensive line.
Yeah, so I just think they lost.
They lost Mika Tafua.
Yeah, they lost a lot on defense.
But they do return freshman player of the year, junior Tafuna. They lose their best defensive player of all time at Utah, 2-time All-American, Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, Devin Lloyd. And they lose their second leading tackler, Nefi Sewell. But they do add Muhammad Diabate from Florida and Gabe Reed from Stanford. And they lose Brandon McKinney and Vontae Davis in their defensive backfield. So their defense is definitely not going to be as good. And as we saw against Ohio State last year, Ervin, their defense got absolutely fucking torched regardless.
I hope they play man versus USC. That's all I got to say.
For real. He said, Lonnie said, O-line is solid.
They usually have a solid O-line. I'm not taking anything away from Utah. Shout out to Lonnie. Shout out to his alma mater. Shout out to his Utes. But when reality sets in and you're not playing the worst Pac-12 that we've seen in our lifetime, I don't think y'all gonna. I got y'all making it to the championship, but I got y'all losing twice to USC, who is gonna be the eventual Pac-12 champions.
All right, let's see here. So, what do you like the over 9?
I'll go over 9.
Over 9.
I got them at 10-2.
Man, I look at their schedule and I'm like, dude.
They do got some tough road games, but I think they got enough to beat Florida. They got enough to beat.
They only got 2 tough road games at UCLA and at Oregon.
At Florida too.
They're gonna win that game, dude. I'm telling you right
now. I think they win. I think they win against Florida. I got them losing 2 games. I got them losing to USC. And I got them losing to, because they always lose one game they're not supposed to. So I'll just say they drop a game.
Well, I would say that game is going to be USC because the winner of the USC-Utah game, the home team basically always wins that game.
Yeah.
And they get USC at home this year.
But this is USC coached by Lincoln Riley, not Clay Helton. So it's going to be a big difference.
It is going to be. Is Lonnie saying anything in the chat right now? He's talking about the linebackers. He's not talking about that game.
I'll say they lose to USC. They beat Florida though. Go Utes for drain that swamp for good. And I got them losing either to Oregon or UCLA. But they definitely
they could lose both those games, to be honest.
Yeah, so I got them going 10-2 because I like the over. I'm not going because I got them in USC playing twice this year, once at Utah and then again in the Pac-12 championship.
All right. We've made it. We've made it, y'all.
Yeah.
Let's go. We are moving on to a real program now. And it's back, baby. We are so back. USC over under 9.5 wins. What do you think, Irv?
Over.
I knew you weren't even going to hesitate with that one. Why do you like the over?
Because we fired Clay Helton, which we should have did 3 years ago. And we hired somebody that nobody thought that we was going to have a chance at or ever saw him leaving the school that he left. Because usually when Oklahoma coaches leave that school, they go to the NFL.
That's true.
We got Lincoln Riley. We do got a lot of turnover. So it all depends on how the offense and the defense gels. The offense is going to be lights out. I would be shocked if this offense isn't top 3, 4, 5 in the country.
No, this offense has 3 people that are All-American, or actually 4 guys that are All-American watch. This offense should absolutely be lights out.
Yeah, this offense is going to be hard to contain, hard to stop. And I'm going out on a limb. We've never seen a Lincoln Riley team not be physical. So we're going to be way more physical than we've ever been since the Pete Carroll days. We're definitely going to run the ball. We're going to pass the ball. We got Caleb Williams. We got a running quarterback. USC have never had a running quarterback in my lifetime.
What do you? Yeah, I forgot. You're not that old. Rodney Pete, though.
Yeah, I don't remember Rodney Pete. The best athlete I remember being a quarterback at USC is Carson Palmer.
Man, stop that. John David Booty or Mark Sanchez was a way better athlete.
Oh, yeah, true, but he didn't run the ball. He picked teams.
That's because of how the offense was built then.
Yeah, he was a good athlete. I'll give him that. But back to my Trojans. They're going over. Only see them losing to maybe one team this year, and that would be the last game of the year, and that would be versus Notre Dame.
Other than that, they will not lose to Notre Dame.
I don't think they will lose to Notre Dame too, but I also don't have them going undefeated. So
I don't think they'll go. Honestly, I think if they're going to lose a game, it's going to be at Utah.
That too. That's just 2 games they could lose, Utah and Notre Dame. But I got them beating Utah and might lose to Notre Dame. If we don't lose to Notre Dame, we're going undefeated. But I don't think we go undefeated. Not in our first year. I mean, now, if Lincoln does go undefeated in his first year with this roster turnover and this new coaching staff, I think the NCAA is going to be very concerned.
Why?
Because they only gonna get better.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying. Hold on, I wanted to read that quote that I sent you the other day. Where is it? I gotta find it. Sorry, unprepared again. All right, this is an opposing coach in the Pac-12. I sent you this the other night, Ervin. This opposing coach said, they're going to be I'm quoting, quote, they're going to be a powerhouse. The question is how long it's going to take and what they're going to look like when it happens. Lincoln is a great coach. I would describe him as having elite emotional intelligence. He's going to recruit his ass off and he'll make the USC brand cool again. Even with the portal, it will take him 2 years to get the talent they need to be nationally relevant and ahead of Utah in the South. But eventually they're going to do it. The problem for the rest of us in the league is that it's brand new everything. They're the most unknown program in the league, top to bottom. So many guys have left, so many have come in. Last year's film won't really give you anything. Caleb is a really talented kid. He's going to thrive when they get everyone on the same page. How physically are they going to be? The style OU played was physical air raid, more so than the usual Big 12 teams. If you go back and look through their entire history, when USC plays physical, they win titles. When they're not, they just put up stats. It's really that simple. The physicality means they're getting those elite guys on both lines. It means they're developing NFL dudes, and they're a mile ahead of the league. At this point, I think it would be good to have them back on top for a while for just about everyone except Oregon and UCLA. I think this team, I think we got a lot of talent, Irv. I do. I think the biggest issue is, Lonnie said, oh, God, here we go. I do think the biggest issue is depth. Outside of wide receiver and running back, we are very thin at everything. Very thin. Meaning if we have a key injury in any of those, if we have a key injury to our offensive line, like if Voorhees goes down, we're fucked.
Yeah, we can't. That's the only thing that scares me, that we have to stay healthy at all the positions that really matter. And we only can afford injuries at 2 positions. And I don't even want injuries at those positions, which is receiver and running back.
This team stays healthy. I have zero doubts they can run the table and lose in the college football playoff.
Yeah, we're not winning the championship the first year. The only way that happens if the defense just return in.
They got to turn it up, dude. And they're moving Corey Foreman to linebacker, to get him on the outside edge to really rush the passer, which I think is only gonna benefit him, right? I think that's more of like his natural. I wouldn't say he's like a natural linebacker, but I think rushing the passer is definitely like what he does best.
Yeah.
You bring in Travis Dye from Oregon, dynamic rusher and receiver out of the backfield, and then Austin Jones, who's a between the tackles type runner, and then you have Raleek Brown you could throw in there, right?
Yes,
obviously our wide receiver core. I mean, even I don't even mind if Madison if Addison and Mario Williams go down. I try to put their names together. We have a ton of talent behind them. Kyle Ford, Taj Washington, Gary Bryant, Malcolm Epps. Like, we're talking 5-star receivers, dude, behind them.
That's one position you never have to worry about at USC. The only thing I'm worried about is the offensive line staying healthy. Who's going to be the right tackle? Because it seems like Cortland Ford is going to get every opportunity to be the left tackle. So that means probably Bobby Haskins will be the right tackle, which is a transfer from Virginia.
Yep.
We have a starting center. We have a starting left guard. Both of those dudes look like NFL draft picks.
Jonah Monheim, too, I'm seeing on depth charts as the right tackle.
Okay. And then the right guard, we got to settle that. Cooper Lovelace was a transfer. He might take over that position. We're going to see. Now, the defense, I think we finished, 11th in defense last year in the Pac-12?
Yeah, we were dog shit, dude. And we lost all 4 of our defensive backs from last year, but it's like, we were so bad, dude.
Yeah, is that really going to hurt us? Like, honestly, I just think that if this defense is top 4, top 3 in the conference, I don't think USC loses a game. That's the only thing we have to worry about. Is the defense going to be better? Which Grinch always shows his first year.
Yep.
He drastically improves the defense that he's coaching. He did it at Ohio State. He did it at Washington State. He did it at Oklahoma. He just has to get the players to buy into his system.
So listen to this, Irv. I wrote this in my notes. I said they're moving Foreman to outside linebacker. Plus, they transfer in Shane Lee from Alabama, Eric Gentry from Arizona State, and Romeo Height from Auburn. They have 11 4- and 5-star recruits in the linebacker unit. They should be much more improved under Alex Grinch because that's where you see a lot of focus from him is in the linebackers, like Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma, who was a first-round pick. I mean, I think that Alex Grinch can turn this thing around quickly. I think they have the talent. That quote I read from you was before the transfers were completed. Like that was back in like April, May.
Woo, yeah. Just get ready, Pac-12. We're definitely going over 9.5 wins. I got us as an outside dark horse for the playoffs. actually got us and Utah as dark horses for the playoffs. So I honestly think if one of us is in, because those are two teams I picked to play for the championship. If one of us has one loss or no losses in that game, even if they lose a close game or if they win and go undefeated, whoever wins the Pac-12 with one loss definitely deserves a spot in the playoff.
I agree. I like. It's tough going over 9.5, especially in the coach's first year, because I usually I have a rule about college football where I don't take like first year coaches over.
But it's Lincoln Riley. It's this is not.
And I also like Washington's over, so here I am breaking my own rules over here.
They hired two special coaches, honestly.
Yeah, I mean nothing's more special than USC, dude. I'll still never forget, because if anybody hasn't listened to the show with Ervin and I, Ervin told me, I literally still have the message. He hits me up. He's like, "We're hiring Matt Campbell," and what did I say?
Hell no.
I was like, dude, I fucking hate this. Like, kill me now, dude. Please.
That would have been better than Clay Helton.
I mean, well, dude, I would be better than Clay Helton, and that's not saying much, dude. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. I was like pissed. And then, dude, like 24 hours after that, Lincoln Riley gets hired, and I was like, you lying son of a bitch, dude. Like, I'm so happy right now. Like, we got a real fucking coach. Bro, when USC has a good coach, we win titles. That's what we do. Like, there's no better recruiting ground than Los Angeles, California, than Southern California, than Las Vegas, Nevada. Like, that recruiting ground right there, bro, all Lincoln Riley has to do is handle that. That's all Pete Carroll did.
And get him some linemen from Utah. But joining the Big 12 opens up us to
Big 10.
Those 4- and 5-star country-fed linemen. So that could really spell disaster for the NCAA. Imagine a Caden Proctor or
I mean, Voorhees, I feel like we always get talent, dude. I just don't feel like we are coached well, or at least since
the only thing with Voorhees is he's not like a super duper good athlete, but the dude is so strong. He's super fundamental. He's makes
gonna be a first round pick, dude.
Yeah, he's gonna be a first round pick. Only thing that's gonna stop him from being a first round pick is injuries. Hopefully we don't have any injury bugs. Coming out of training camp or spring practice, the dude is putting up 48 reps at 225. So he is not.
I mean, I do that in my sleep, dog. Like,
it's not physical with him. It's going to be the mental and staying healthy, which he can handle the mental part of the game. Dude played as a true freshman.
Yeah, no, he's a great player, dude.
If the O-line is solid and they're solid and the running improves, I'm not worried about the pass game. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, Mario Williams, Gary Bryant Jr. I could go on and on and on. USC is literally like 8-9 deep at wide receivers with 4- and 5-star talent.
Yep.
The offense is not my worry at all. The O-line gels and it plays up to their potential. And you got to remember, John Henson is a damn good O-line coach. They beat Alabama last year, and that O-line held up well against the future probably number 1 pick. So,
yep,
we're gonna be all right. I got us going 10-2, man, 10-2, 11-1. Definitely going hitting the over. I would love for us to go undefeated and head into that Pac-12 championship game against a 10-2 Utah team.
The only thing that worries me from going, that record is injuries, dude.
Yeah, we just got to stay healthy. If we find a way to stay healthy, the only team I see beating us is Utah because we're on the road, and maybe Notre Dame. We'll see.
Dude, Notre Dame is not beating us, dog. I don't know why you keep saying Notre Dame. We get Notre Dame
because
at home.
We lost to them 3 times in a row. And
we get Notre Dame at home, and they're not as good as last year or the year before. Dude, we almost beat them 3 years ago when Keenan Slovis was a freshman, and we were missing like 8 defensive starters.
I get it, but I'm just saying we gotta once we beat Notre Dame. It's a pick'em game. I'm not gonna say we're gonna just blow their ass out.
Nah, dude. I'm telling you right now, Lincoln is gonna beat the shit out of UCLA this year, and he's gonna beat the shit out of Notre Dame because that's gonna be a statement. We here, we alive. This is SC, baby. We back.
Yeah, we back. I just can't wait. I hope we beat Notre Dame. That's the only thing because everybody gonna say, "Oh, you just being a biased ass USC fan." I want us to go undefeated, but I do think we might lose 1 or 2 games, maybe.
I mean, like I said, I think if we lose a game, it's at Utah. That's the only game I see us losing, barring like tragic injuries, dude.
Yeah, barring tragic injuries, I think we go 11-1, maybe 12-0.
And by tragic injuries, I mean if we lose Caleb Williams, dude, we're fucked.
Yeah, at worst we go 10-2.
If we lose Caleb Williams, bro, we might not win 6 games, dog.
Yeah, if we lose Caleb Williams, I'm not watching more college football.
It could get really ugly, dude.
I'll just look at final scores like, hey, this team won, that team won.
Hey, before we get out of here, I do want to talk about what you sent me the other day about Jackson Dart and what he said.
Oh, that dude.
And we're going to talk about the SEC in 2 weeks. We got Big Ten next week, and then we're going to talk about the SEC. But Ervin sent me something that Jackson Dart said at SEC Media Day, right?
Yeah.
And he said that he left USC because he basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said he didn't want to compete for a starting job.
Yeah, they brought in a guy to take my position. I wasn't feeling that, so I transferred out to a better position, and I'm working hard every day. It's a sign of the times. These upper-level 4 or 5-star prospects, they want to hit the field early, and they feel like they're entitled to a starting spot. And some of them don't want to get there and wait by their time and wait. They want to play as freshmen. And if they don't play as a freshman,
they're out.
9 times out of 10, they're going to transfer. Unless they really know that they want to stick with this coach. This coach has an NFL track record, and he's going to get me to where I ultimately want to be. But for him to come out and say that just basically showed me that he didn't want to compete with Caleb Williams. And then you're going to have people saying, oh, he left because Caleb Williams is Lincoln Riley boy and da-da-da-da-da. But people forget, Caleb didn't start day one at Oklahoma. He had to earn that. And when Spencer Rattler started stinking up the joint, he came in and was killing it.
And let's not forget, Spencer Rattler was Heisman. He was
the Heisman
favorite going into last year. You know what I mean? So that's what Lincoln thought of Caleb. He said, hey, I think we could win more ball games with Caleb Williams at quarterback than we can with Spencer Rattler. And they did.
So I didn't really like that from Jackson Dart. And also, if you read the clippings coming out of spring camp from Ole Miss, he's not a shoo-in to start for Ole Miss either.
No,
so
not at all.
We'll see how that works out for him.
I like the kid, dude. I like
him too. He has the talent. It's just I didn't like that. That quote didn't rub me the right way at all.
I also didn't like that he wasn't accurate at all.
Yeah, some of those throws, he was like, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah, he was making some crazy throws. Also, before we get out here, you worried about the Padres?
No, not at all. We're hurt. Once we get better, okay, they're gonna be able to hit. They have.
Did Joey Gallo play today?
No, I don't think Joey Gallo didn't play today. They arguably have. Don't bring up Joey Gallo. I'm not. We're not gonna talk about Joey Gallo until he actually plays. But they have arguably 3 top 10 positional players in baseball, so of course they're gonna be a threat. But at the end of the day, great pitching always beats good hitting.
But y'all, dude, you're really confident going into a series with Kershaw as your ace, Urias, Tyler Anderson, Catman. I mean, dude,
until it's proven
sticking
otherwise,
up the joint right now, dog, in his last 3 or 4 starts.
Until it's proven otherwise, I think when Buehler comes back healthy, he's gonna knock somebody out of that.
When or if?
No, he's coming back healthy. Me and Felipe been keeping us updated. He's coming back healthy. He's not gonna be out.
Felipe didn't even start watching baseball till a week ago.
Nah, I don't know.
He admitted it himself.
He wasn't talking about him. You talking about watching baseball this season or just watching baseball period?
This season.
Oh, I don't know. He probably was just trolling because that's what he loves to do. But
he told us.
As a Dodger fan, I didn't want to see Juan Soto in my division, but he's on the Padres. I'll live with it. But we'll see what they're gonna do. I'm not. They definitely probably make the postseason, but are you going to trust Joe Musgrave and?
Nah, hell no. I'm not trusting none of those.
Yeah, if you trusted any of those arms in the playoff, Good luck.
But the same thing for the Dodgers. Like, I don't trust any of their arms in the playoffs. I mean, Kershaw has a history of not performing in the playoffs.
Urias and Walker Buehler been pretty damn good in the playoffs. So
if Walker comes back healthy, we got.
I think
keep an
Walker's
asterisk on
going to come back healthy. Our bullpen been lights out. We're going to get Blake Trinan back. We're going to get Bruce Gratterall back.
Yeah, but the Padres have a better lineup.
That's fine. They can have a better lineup. They have a better lineup by a little bit.
By a little bit? No fucking way, dog. They got Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Brandon Drury.
Dude, Tatis not even playing. So
if Tatis if he doesn't come back, I think it changes a lot. But bro, today I saw the effect, the Juan Soto effect, dude, and Josh Bell himself, dude, switch hitting first baseman.
Yeah, Josh Bell is no slouch. He's a pretty damn good hitter. I
saw the effect today, dude. We were talking about this before we went on, bro. Chad Kuhl gets the first out, pop up to Jerickson Profar, walks Juan Soto. Manny Machado gets a double. And it's just like you have to pitch to these guys because you have one after the other. That's what I don't like about the Dodgers, is because after Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, you just got a bunch of trash, dude. You got Cody Bellinger, Max Muncy, Joey Gallo. Like, you got a bunch of
well, hopefully Chris Taylor comes back. That'll help out. I don't think Max Muncy gonna snap out of it. Unfortunately, that elbow injury I don't know if he's healthy, but he just hasn't been good. Cody Bellinger is a walking strikeout. So we got Yeah, we got some improving to do with our lineup. But if everybody comes back healthy, I think the Dodgers will be all right. I'm not picking nobody to beat us in the National League, so I don't see that happening.
Dude, I like the Braves, honestly. I think they're the best team overall.
But if their two best pitchers are going to be trash in the playoffs, what's going to happen?
How do you know they're going to be trash in the playoffs?
The Fried ain't been good all year.
What do you mean he hasn't been good all year? Dude, it's like a 2.7 ERA.
Yeah, but we've watched him pitch the last 3-4 times, and it ain't looking good. If he starts locating,
dude, he was lights out last start.
If he starts locating his stuff, then okay, he'll be all right. But the same thing with them. Is they bats gonna be consistent?
But yeah, they've been. That's the thing with the Braves, dude. Is they have a nasty lineup, and they have the best pitching staff, in my opinion. Unless the Mets are healthy. Then I'll take the Mets pitching staff.
I don't see nobody beating. If we stay healthy, I don't see nobody beating my Dodgers.
Nah. The Braves are better. The Mets are better. Or actually, I wouldn't say the Mets are better. Unless DeGrom and Scherzer are lights out. Then I'll take the Mets. But I don't like the Mets lineup that much.
Scherzer ain't the same pitcher. I'm sorry.
He's definitely not. I agree with you there. I definitely agree. He is showing signs of his age. I mean, he's 39 years old, right?
Yeah, so
39, right?
You got to slow down sometime, big dog.
Yeah, I mean, Father Time's undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the Braves, dude. I love the Braves.
Well, the playoffs are different. We'll see how that goes.
All you need me to do, I'm telling you this, dude. Whatever team's hat I wear, they lose that day. I guarantee it, dude. It's been happening. I wear the Rockies hat today, and they get shelled, dude. 9-1.
Don't worry about Dodgers hat in the postseason at all.
I know, dude. I should have worn the Dodgers hat, dude. I bet on the Giants 2 games out of the 3. The Giants dude, they suck, bro. They're done, dude. Stick a fork in those guys, dog. They're absolutely done. I was telling Ben last night. We were talking winners, losers of the trade deadline, and I was like, dude, the Giants are the biggest loser, dude, because they suck and they didn't sell their 2 best pieces, but they're talking in their pregame or in their postgame interviews oh, we're gonna stay the same and we're gonna fight till the playoffs, and they go out and lose 3 in a row. And they've lost 5 of their last, or they lost 15 of their last 20, dude. I mean, this team is not good, dude. They're not good.
Outside of Barry Bonds, I've never wished that franchise anything good.
I mean, fuck them, dude. Especially they're gonna lose me money. Shout out to the A's though. They beat Shohei Ohtani today, 3-1. Go A's.
See, the A's been low key on fire, low key.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, bro. They're gonna get that over 70 wins, and Dylan's gonna owe me $100, and it's gonna be all good.
Sounds good to me.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all got some information. Make sure to go to devour.com or download the Devour app straight to your mobile device and use promo code Taproom for $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. I'll be back on Sunday with Big Ball and Ben Larson. We'll be talking a lot of baseball as we wrapped up the trade deadline. And next week, Ervin and I will be doing the Big Ten. We'll be handicapping the Big Ten over-under win totals. For Swerve and Ervin Washington, I'm Jordan Stacks on Stacks on Stacks Lats. We will catch y'all later. Have a beautiful weekend. Enjoy. Before we get out of here, I'm going to switch to music, though, real quick.